Welcome back for another session of Helping Me, where we learn C# together. All right, for this segment, I'm going to be calling it Let's Talk Methods. So basically, we're going to be talking about all things that deal with methods and calling methods. Now, what a method is basically a way to, how do I say this? Okay, let's refer to like a normal textbook. It's like a chapter in a book. So like you make a chapter that's all about a certain thing, and then you would write that chapter in the index. In this case, it's like your main method is your index where you're going to be performing all your operations. And within your main method, you're going to be calling on chapters or referring to chapters, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It's kind of hard to put things into a real world perspective. But anyway, I'm going to be showing you guys methods, parameters, and multiple parameters. Basically, methods contain parameters. I'm going to show you a method with one parameter, then I'm going to show you a method with multiple parameters. And that's going to be all for this segment. So let's get into it. All right, we're going to make a new project, and we're just going to call it methods. Methods. Maximize the screen. Oh no, I created the wrong project. And nobody said anything. Because you can't. Alright, go to Windows and make a didn't even rename it. It's all good. I'll rename it after the fact. Alright. Now I'm gonna do it now. Just for neatness. Judge me if you like. I don't care. Methods. Oh, this is gonna accept it. Accept it. Alright, let's get into this. So, we're going to make some variables. Let's make 3, just so we can have the multiple parameters. Variables. And we're going to make 3 different ones. Let's do it. I'm going to make a string. And our string is going to be string word equals word. Okay. The next one is going to be a boolean. We're going to put this one to jump. Boolean jump equals false. Now, guys, this isn't going to make any sense. I'm just going to make up some stuff, though. Oh, my God, I can't spell. False. There you go. Okay, and what's the last thing? Let's make an integer. Integer number equals 100. Okay, we have our variables. All right, let's get into the method. Oops. Okay. The difference is you never want to actually make a method within your main method. This is a method here. So the main method, like I said, would be, in the case of referring to it as a book, it would be your index. And your index can call any method outside of it or any chapter outside of it. I don't know if this book metaphor is hitting it on point, but I feel like it is, so I'm going to keep using it. All right, so let's go outside of our method. Basically, our main method are these brackets here that follow immediately after the method call right here. So this little class program, it's its own method, or it is a class, which is different from a method, but it's enclosed within its own brackets. And you don't want to go outside of the class because the class is what we're using to encapsulate everything. Okay, so let's go outside of our main method and make our own method. So call it method, and we're going to make this method. Let's just make a method to add 2 numbers together. Okay. So this method, we want it to add the number we input by 99. So add the number we input by 99. So add 99 to whatever we put in there. Okay. Let's call our method. I'm gonna go static. Basically, it has to be static in order to be called by this one because it's static itself. And there are going to be times when you don't need to make it static and you can just call it. Like you see how this one says static void main up here. Instead of that, you could just put void main, but that's under different circumstances, which I will show you later on. But for now, we're going to use static void, and we're going to go add numbers. And just like we're doing a little loop there, kind of use the same syntax of these brackets and curly brackets, or parentheses and curly brackets. Sorry about that. Okay, now this here technically is a complete method. I can call it in my main method. It won't do anything, but it's a complete method. So the way you call it or refer to it would be simply call it by its name, add numbers, put the parentheses there, and end it with a semicolon, and that's a successful call. This is a call to our method. And if I run this program, it won't do anything. Let's see. Control F5. See, did nothing, but no errors, so you know it's working. Okay, now if we wanted our method to do something, say for instance, it won't be adding our number because we haven't put our parameter in there yet. But just to show you that this is a complete method without anything else, I'm going to make it do something. So let's make it right to the screen for us. I can't type today. Console dot. We're going to write a line, and we're going to say, what is 5 plus 5? No. What's 9 plus 10? Is it 21, like they say? All right, let's run the program. As you see, it's going to run whatever's in this main method, and it won't even consider this here. Or it won't like read to it unless we call it in our main method. And I'll show you an example of that after I run this. Okay, so it'll run this little string here, and then it'll do the addition down there. So Control F5, and we got 19 here. Okay, now if I comment this part out here, now you'll notice that it won't read that because it's not called in our main method. So Control F5, nothing. So yeah, it's like our index. It tells the program what to refer to while it's reading. Yeah, I like this little book metaphor. So yeah, while the program reads through the main method, it looks for referrals to different methods, aka chapters. Okay, now let's add a parameter. So we want our add numbers to add by our number that we declared here. So to do that, we would declare a parameter. And a parameter basically is declared as int. It's like declaring a variable basically. So let's say int number. Okay, now what it's saying is this static method. Void means, okay, static means it's a static method. It can be called by any other static method. Void simply means that your method will not return anything. So if I put like, basically this is telling it what you want it to return. So you can want it to return any of the types of variables that we can declare. So it can return a string, a boolean, an integer, a double, a float, whatever you want it to. So if I put int here, now it won't accept this because it's not returning an integer. So the way you would return is to put return before this statement here. return. Now, it's going to return, can't return it like that. Take out this console part. Okay, so now it would return this operation. It returned me 9 plus 10. Whenever I called it, it would send back to our main method the result of 9 plus 10. And we're getting an error right here because we have to assign what it's returning to a variable in order for us to like call it or put it in a print method. Either one works. So if we called our console dot write line, we called that right here, and we just enclose this inside. And we have to take away our parameter. So if we just did it like that, now it would return us the same thing as it did when we wrote console.println right here. All right, let's see that. Control F5. See, 19. So that's basically how returning works. You just specify what you want it to return specifically, and then you have to have a statement within the method that tells it to return, and it has to return whatever type of variable you told it was going to return. Okay, so now back to our parameter. We're going to leave it as a returning statement just for efficiency. Let's say. All right, so we declare it like a variable. We want to be able to input an integer, and the integer is whatever. It doesn't matter what you name this integer. It won't refer to anything else except for in this method. Basically what it's saying is when I call this method, I'm going to have to call it with an integer. And whatever integer that I call it with, it's going to be referred to as number within the method. So now within this method, anytime I say number, it's going to be referring to whatever number I called the method with. So by that I mean like, okay, I call this method here. Let's take away all this extra stuff so you can just see the method only. Okay, so this is a normal method call here. And now I add the parameter. My parameter is going to be 100. I can either add that by putting 100, so it'll throw 100, and now down here, once it calls this method, this number is going to be 100, and it's going to do whatever with it that I say it wants to do. But a better way to do that would refer to it as number, because that's what we named it, number. So now this number is going into our method, and then it's going to be transferred to this number. Just to show you that it's not the same number, I'll put it as number 2. To show you it's not kind of like pulling from there. Some people might think that. Okay, now we said we wanted our method to add 99 to whatever we input. So we input number 2, and we're going to add 99 to it. So our result should be 199. Okay. I don't know if it'll print just from calling it. Let's see. Control F5. No, it won't. Figured that. All right. When you call a method like this that's returning something, like I said, you either call it within your print statement or you call it as you're declaring a variable. So like say for instance, I wanted a new variable, and whatever the return was for this method, I wanted that to be the new number for our variable. So I will put integer result equals whatever this method gives me back. So we're giving it our int number here, and we want it to add the number. And in our method, we're adding 99 to the number. So it's taking our number plus 99, and it's going to restore our result in our integer result. And now we're going to print the result, just so you guys can see that. Console.writeLine, and let's print our result. Okay. Control F5, bam, 199 is our result. Okay, so that's basically how methods work and how you declare a single parameter. Now we're going to throw in multiple parameters. Put method with single param. And we're going to do method with multiple params. Okay. And as you can see, we have to call it outside of this method and outside of our main method. So each new method is like a new chapter. It has to be called within its own section. Okay, in this method, we're going to use everything up here. So we're going to check if jump is true. And if true and word equals word, then we're going to print the number. This makes absolutely no sense, but it's an example, so it doesn't have to. So if our jump equals true, so it's checking if jump is true. If true, then, if true and word equals word, then print number. That's so stupid. Okay. Let's follow our instructions. So static void, we don't need to return anything. Most times you won't need to return anything. It's just preference. Because you can still make it return something without, we'll get into that on the next video. But static void, and we're gonna call this do stuff. And we're gonna pass it all our parameters. So we have a string up there. So we're gonna put string, just gonna call it string X. And we have a Boolean up there, so bool Y. And what else we have? We have an integer, so int Z. And let's start. So we're gonna check if jump is true. So if Y, because Y is our Boolean. So if Y equals true, what do we do if Y equals true? If true and word equals jump. So if Y is true and our string is X, so and X equals word. So if Y is true and X equals word, so if our Boolean is true and our string is word, we want to print out our integer, which is Z. I know I probably should have named these just to make it clear, but so we're gonna print Z. So console.writeLine, and we're writing Z. I'm going to rename these just so everybody understands when they're going through and looking at it again. So string, word, Boolean, jump, and int Z is our number. So I have to rename these as well. And that was jump. This one is word, and Z is number. Okay, cool. And just for completeness, we're gonna add an else statement. Else, if none of that works, because our method is false, so it won't work. So we want it to print out. So we'll write line. We want it to tell us I can't do anything. Bam. Okay, And now we have to call our method. We have to refer to it in our main method. So with this one, we can just refer it. We're going to let it come up after our result. And let's add another console dot right line. We're just adding this right line here just to skip another space for us. Could have done that there, but yeah. Okay, now let's call our other method do stuff. Do stuff. And we have to see, it tells you what you need to put in it, and you have to put it in that order. So we need a string. Our string is word. We need the Boolean. Our Boolean is jump, because see up here. And we need the int, which is number, and number. See, if it was still X, Y, and Z, you'd have to kind of look up here and see. But since they're named the same, it's kind of easy to follow it. That's why commenting and naming very important when it comes to readability of your code. All right, and since we wrote our right line methods in here and it doesn't return anything, we can just call it as it is. All right, let's see what our code produces. Before we do, I will read it out to you. All right, we declared our variables, and we declared a variable called result, which was the result of the method add numbers, where we input the number of 100, and it added that by 99. So 199 came out, and it printed. Then we wrote an empty line and skipped to the next line. Then we called our do stuff method, where we gave it the parameters of a string, a Boolean, and an integer. In this method, it called an if statement that said if jump equals true and word equals word, all caps, then we're going to print out our number, which was 100 here. And else, we were going to print out I can't do anything. So that's how it all reads out. All right, let's run it. Control F5. So 199, our skip a line right here, and I can't do anything. Okay. That's basically how methods and parameters work in a general sense. And our next tutorial, I'm going to be showing you a little more in depth with it, how to assign your parameters in a different way. But I'm kind of be very broad right now, and I'll get into it on our next video. So for now, hope you guys enjoyed. Have any comments, leave them down in the comment section, and I'll see you next time.